Guys, thank you. Such a great honor to get the opportunity to speak to you all today. And I got to say, it's been a great experience so far to share everyone's stories. When I was thinking about my speech today, I was thinking I could talk about the company, I could talk about all the great things we do, but what's the most interesting part? We're all entrepreneurs here. We're all in this ecosystem. I want to talk about my journey. Why did I start a company, and how did I get inspired to do what I do? And it starts with this. I come from a telecom background, so my training is electrical engineering, and I rose up from electrical engineering to management, production. I got the opportunities to really see incredible places in the world. And everywhere I traveled, there's one thing I noticed. The world's big. It's really big. We use a lot of energy. And every time I give this speech, I always say, who here doesn't have power? We always get someone who raises their hands. Who knows someone who doesn't have power? All right, yep, we got 2, maybe 3, 4. This is the interesting thing. When I traveled the world, and I got to see how incredibly big energy production is, from transmission, distribution, to generation. And I was actually coming back from a long stint in Asian countries, and I was sitting at the Hong Kong airport with my now co-founder of the company, Dr. Atul Pradhan. And we were sitting there, we were pretty tired, right? Been traveling. And we're watching the sunrise in Hong Kong. And I just turned around to him. I'm like, do you want to start a company? And he looks back at me. He's like, at this point, sure. So the second question I asked him, I'm like, we got to come up with a cool name. Something that's exciting, right? Something that's like, oh, that sounds like it's optical. He's like, listen, you're making it too difficult. Why don't we use the first 3 initials of your name and the last 3 of mine? We'll call it Makatu. And that's how we did it, right? It sounds Japanese. It has this feeling of, optics. It sounds like Hamamatsu. It sounds like something like, I want to buy that. That's fun, right? So if you look at our logo, it's a red M. You guys can guess what that represents, right? It's the rising sun. And it's a very emotional thing for me, is that at that point, I had a great career. I was working in corporate America, a very large company. And I said, you know what? Let's throw all that out, right? Let's go take the sails outside the harbor. Let's go see what we can find. Let's see what troubles we can find. Let's see what successes we can find, and what failures. And how can we learn from our failures? So as any good startup, start in a garage, 2011. And if Garrett's here, if you can name this garage, next beer's on me. Garrett in here? He's not. Steve Jobs' garage. Why is this inspirational? Is that a good point is every one of our journeys starts at a point that's small. Some of us start very large, some of us are small, but it's a journey. Entrepreneurialism is not a destination. And when we went out to go solve these problems, we asked ourselves, how can we make a difference? How can a guy from Horseheads, New York, born and raised, upstate, right? How can I get here on the stage today, get the opportunity to talk to all of you? Well, I thought, you know what, I could apply my optics background, and we can solve fundamental problems, right? Fundamental problems have been around for quite a while. And what we do, is we do 3 things. We do it really well. We measure voltage, current, vibration, and temperature. And we do it optically. And we set out to fundamentally change the way the world measures with light. That sounds great, doesn't it? Well, that's what we do. Is that a lot of the technology that's been out there has been around since the 1900s. Think about it. Most of the world right now has technology that was discovered by Tesla, Edison. Incredible stuff, and it works great. But what we wanted to do is bring that to the next level. What we wanted to do is take sensing and say, how can we make your product smarter? How can we make the grid more efficient? How can I make machines run better? How can I make batteries understand what their voltages are? And that's what we really set out to do. And when we went to apply our company and our technology, we wanted to focus on the grid first. There's some of our sensors hanging. Believe it or not, that measures voltage and current at 35 kV and up to 2,000 amps. And what we do is we enable utilities, industrial IoT, condition monitoring, to have lower cost energy, reduce CapEx, and reduce CO2 emissions. And this was the goal of our company, is have a positive impact. Yet, we can do it in a really interesting way and grow value for our shareholders. So when we went out, we asked ourselves, just looking at the grid, how big is the problem? That's a pretty big number. I'd have to kind of practice to even say it, but it's got a lot of zeros. But think about it. This is global. Transmission, distribution, how much energy every year is wasted. Now, some of this is limited by physics, right? It's the way we move energy around. You're going to lose some. But look at that. If I take a small fraction of that, a fraction of a fraction, we can have a big impact. And that's what Makatu focuses on. How can we have a positive impact to make energy transmission, distribution, and generation more efficient? And that's really what we've been focusing on. Think about this for New York State. We can have a huge impact. This is great. If we can get better sensing, better technology. We all hear about smart grid. Smart grid is all generated by data and analytics. What we fundamentally do is we give you the better data. We give you the data that enables to make better decisions. And it's actually a pretty well-known fact here is that we can get 1% energy savings for each 1% voltage reduction. Think about that. I give you a little bit less power, all your appliances are more efficient. And this is one of the problems we're focusing on solving. It's been an exciting road from going from our garage, now we're serving all these industries. So you think about, we do transmission, distribution, we're working with industrial partners for industrial temperature sensing. We also do condition monitoring for wind turbines. So we're in the whole spectrum of power and power generation. This is something I'm really proud of. It's just a small selection of some of the customers we're working with. And one of the things that's exciting is that we are working with every single utility in New York State now, either qualification, sales, or discussions. And that wasn't an easy feat because getting into utilities, they're very slow adopters of technology. So you really have to understand the value proposition you bring to your customers. And that's one thing that's always a struggle as entrepreneurs. Because you think you have a cool solution, doesn't mean someone's going to buy it, right? It's a full value proposition. That's why I'm very proud of this slide, developing this. So what's the keys to our successes? First off is our culture. I think we had a great conversation last presentation about culture. And the one thing that we do is I don't want to become a company that's not fun to work for. I want to become a company that's not something I can be proud of or explain to my kids. So one thing we really embrace is our culture, our diversity, understanding that each person has a life journey, and we all appreciate that. Second thing is technology. When we go out to do technology, we become the absolute best. We lock up the IP patent portfolio. We really try to make a difference and really try to make sure that we are the best at what we do. Third thing is partnerships. Some of our best sales team are actually our customers. That's a really big thing, is have your customers sell your product, especially with utilities. Some of our best customers have been our best sales teams too. Last thing is timing. I recently watched a TEDx talk. This guy named Bill Gross. He talks about what makes companies successful, right? What makes companies successful? Is it ideas? Well, yeah, part of it, right? Is it your management team? Probably, right? Is it your funding? That's always important. It's timing. It's always timing. You have to be at the right place at the right time with the right products. And the rest really comes by itself. And if you have those key elements, you can be very successful at what you do. The other thing, too, is part of our partnerships is that we came out of an incubator in Upstate, right? We came out of CCIC with Nancy and Dr. Alan Ray, which was a great experience for us. So there is the network to have success in entrepreneurialism here. The other thing, too, is a great honor to be 76 West, the first winner for it. So getting back to the garage thing, right? So recently, we were just closing on the purchase of a 100,000 square foot building. We put $3 million in renovations into it, and we're really excited to become one of the top employers in our area, in the southern tier, which is exciting. Because you think about it, I'm originally from Horseheads, Corning area, and to come back and be able to give back to my community, that's half the fun. It really is, and that's what we're really proud of. So I know it's lunchtime, so I'd like to thank you for your time. Have a good day.